Hello and welcome to this week's midweek mini lesson. We are in Ephesians chapter 4. We're going to be doing verses 1 through 16. So let's go. It says, "As a prisoner for the Lord, then, I urge you to live a life worthy of the calling you have received." That's just a great line right there. Live a life worthy of the calling you received. "Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. There is one body and one Spirit, just as you were called to one hope when you were called, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is over all and through all and in all. But to each one of us has been given as Christ apportioned it. This is why it says, when he ascended on high, he led captives in his train and gave gifts to men. What does he ascended mean, except that he also descended to the lower earthly regions? He who descended is the very one who ascended higher than all of the heavens in order to fill the whole universe. It was he," remember this is Christ, "it was he who gave some to be apostles, some to be prophets, some to be evangelists, some to be pastors and teachers, to prepare God's people for the works of service, so that the body of Christ may be built up until we all reach the unity in the faith, in the knowledge of the Son of God, and become mature, attaining to the whole measure of the fullness of Christ." Now that's a long section there, but I want to give kind of like the snippet, like a small snippet of what's going on. He's saying, look, Christ gives gifts. These gifts are apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers. These are the gifts that Christ gives. We have spiritual gifts. That's totally different. These are Christ's gifts. And these gifts, apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers, are to prepare the people, prepare the saints, prepare the church to do the works of service. It's the fivefold ministry, the apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers. It's their job to equip the saints to do the work. They're not the ones doing the work. They're equipping the church to do the work. And they are to do that, verse 12, to prepare God's people for the works of service so that the body of Christ can be built up until, here we go, until all reach the unity in the faith and the knowledge of the Son of God. Do you think that we have all reached unity in the faith and the knowledge of the Son of God? No? Oh, well then I guess the fivefold ministry is still important because they're supposed to be there until those things happen. Becoming mature. Are we all mature? No. Attaining to the whole measure of the fullness of Christ. Don't think we're there yet either. So again, these things are what the fivefold ministry is there until. Verse 14, "Then we will no longer be infants, tossed back and forth by the waves and blown here and there by every wind of teaching and by the cunning and craftiness of men in their deceitful scheming. Instead, speaking the truth in love, we will in all things grow up into him who is the head, that is Christ." In other words, we are going to continue to grow until we become like Christ. "From him, the whole body, joined and held together by every supporting ligament, grows and builds itself up in love as each part does its work." Basically, what it's saying there is that each one of us has a part to play in the body of Christ. And as long as we're all doing our part, we grow into what Christ has called us to be. But when a part of the body that, let's say, is the eye wants to be the ear, or the arm wants to be the leg, and all these different parts of the body wants to do somebody else's calling, we end up with a dysfunctional body. And we need to grow in unity together so that we're all doing what we're also called to do, so that when we do that, we are growing in unity and we're growing in what God has called us to be, so that we can be perfect in every way, the way he intended it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's midweek mini lesson, and I will see you next week. Bye.